Hey, we're at Florida Supercon, the Miami Beach Convention Center. They're back, and with that, Fantasy Super Cosplay Wrestling is back. We're pro wrestlers like Savannah Evans. Yes, they're wrestling in cosplay.
Yes.
So cool. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing the cosplay wrestling. I want to say this is my 4th year. I started with the first Raleigh Supercon. So yeah, I think that would have been 2018, I believe. Yeah.
What do you like about it? And when fans ask, what is FSCW? How would you explain it?
So FSCW, I would say it's all the things you love about wrestling and all the things you love about just fantasy, horror, you know what I mean, like comics, movies. So you get to see your favorite characters. Let's say, you know, Mario. Everyone knows Mario, Super Mario Brothers. You know, he can battle like Skeletor. You know, just different universes come together, and you know, just as much as it is about the cool action, it's also great to see different characters interact, and you know how they play off each other and that kind of thing. So I always have fun with it. You know, I was Lana from Archer, and most recently they switched me to, because the Loki series is popular now. Season 1 I think just wrapped, so they have me as Ravonna Renslayer. So I'm getting used to that character, getting in the flow with it. You know, hoping to have as much fun with that as I did with Lana.
The crowds are really something. And tell us, what is it like performing in front of these big crowds at the different Comic-Cons?
Yes. The crowds are like nothing else. They're huge, and they're into everything you're doing, whether it's the characters that they relate to and know from childhood or current, and they just, you know what I mean? Like they're really behind everything you do. It's about the big moments.
And what is it like compared to a pro wrestling crowd?
You know, it's the same in a lot of ways, but it is different. Some of these fans here may not necessarily be wrestling fans, but they still can get into what you're doing and the scenarios that you're presenting in the moments. So, you know, they're here for the convention, they hear wrestling going on, and, you know, maybe if they don't normally watch wrestling, they kind of poke their head in the door and see what it's about. But usually the crowds can get pretty big once people realize, hey, there's wrestling going on in the other room, you know, the crowds just kind of fill out.
And Savannah, how important is it too for you all to get into your character and to know about your character? And how much for you does studying and playing a part of that?
Oh yeah, it's very important because you can take even little small things about your character and make it big in the ring, you know what I mean? So it's very important to kind of do a little bit of your research, and that way the crowd can get behind what you're doing because you're presenting to them a character that is just like how they see in the movies or how they see in the comics.
Tell us, pro wrestling wise, what have you been doing the last year or so? Because you've been doing a lot of things.
Yeah, so it's been a little different, obviously, you know, with, you know, COVID and the pandemic going on. So, but I have been able to get a few nice opportunities. I got to work AEW at the end of 2020, and then AEW again at the beginning of this year, 2021. So that was really exciting for me, you know, working in front of like TV crowd, but the first time there was no crowd because of the pandemic and everything. But I was definitely glad to be able to go back and do it again, and there was a crowd.
Savannah, do you remember who you worked with at AEW?
Yeah, the first time I did Dark, it was myself and Kylan King against Diamante and Evilise. And then the second time, I got to go to come back and wrestle Layla Hirsch.
Well, the first one, I know you know them. Have you wrestled them before?
Oh yeah, definitely. I know Diamante and Kylan King for, you know, a few years on the indies, so it was definitely cool to be able to wrestle them in front of, you know, on that platform rather, on the AEW Dark platform.
And what was it like being there? You hear so many good things about AEW and just even the camaraderie between everyone.
Yeah, it's the atmosphere is different, you know, from, you know, if you're backstage, like say WWE for example. It is a little more, maybe not laid back, but it's a different air, you know, back there. And it's just everyone, you know, coming together to present a good product for the crowd. So I definitely enjoyed it.
What else have you been doing? Because there's something else going on for you.
Oh yeah, and yeah.
I know.
See you're
leading up to it, I know.
You definitely led me to that one. Yeah, so I just debuted for Impact last month, so you can catch Savannah Evans there every week.
That is so cool. What was it like How did you find out about it? How did it all go down for you that you would be a part of Impact?
I kind of got a heads up, you know, just to be ready. Something was going to be pitched, and it may or may not happen. So I was definitely able to kind of get ready for something like that, and you know, it eventually came into fruition, and so the debut happened and everything.
What is it like when that happens? Who do you call? Who do you message first?
So I'm one of the people, I don't like to count my chickens before they hatch. So I told a few people, not a ton. Told my family and my trainer, who still texts me, you know, like yesterday morning he texted me, I am so proud of you, like don't ever forget that, I love you. So it's definitely a great feeling.
And I have to ask then, who is your trainer and where did you train?
So my trainer is Mr. Number One George South in Charlotte, North Carolina at the High Spot School. I also...
You had some good training then.
Yes, and then that, you know, good sense of a good base. I'm also trained by Caleb Conley, JD Drake, who is at AEW now, and so it's a lot of good people. Cedric Alexander had a hand in training me as well, so just a lot to build off of, like I said, that nice firm base.
What is the goal now? Now you're on Impact Wrestling, you're doing your thing here at FSCW, but what are some of the goals for you?
As much as I can do, you know what I mean? I think this is, a lot of people would take this as, okay, this is a nice stopping point, but it's, you know, it's always bigger and better, and just pushing myself to see what I can get out of wrestling, because I do enjoy it. It's something I love, you know, something I wanted to get involved in since I was very young, to not realizing it's something that you get involved in, to, you know, starting and learning everything I could as fast as I could. So it's just, I just want to keep moving up.
And Savannah, you're a North Carolina gal.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like for you growing up in North Carolina, and good wrestling territory, good wrestling country in Carolina?
Absolutely. I think if people weren't, I guess, I want to say raised on, but if they didn't come up around that kind of Southern style of wrestling. And my trainer, George, hates when they say like old school or Southern style. They're like, no, it's just wrestling. Because so many other places you're taught different things, when really in the South you're taught your basics. Like you don't move on to head scissors and 450 splashes and all those things until you learn, you know, your tackle, drop down, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like I'm very blessed, I think is the word, to have come up that way and to have that knowledge in me first, and then venture out to other things, try other things. So I definitely enjoy it. I'm coming up in Charlotte just in general. I want to say my family moved away from Charlotte when I was like in 3rd grade. So, you know, I was on the West Coast for a while, and then I was in Colorado, then we moved back to Charlotte. So I've had a little bit of everything, and coming back to Charlotte just makes me appreciate it more, having been other places.
Favorite wrestlers?
Oh, growing up it was The Rock. I think he really kept me involved in wrestling once I realized what it was and how cool it was, you know what I mean? I tuned in every week just to see what he was doing, and then I got invested in all the other characters just because he was so like larger than life, so over the top. I loved Lita, what she was doing, because that was stuff that I had never seen from women before. So.
Favorite FSCW stars?
Favorite FSCW stars?
You could say Star-Lord if you'd like.
I don't want to give Star-Lord all that credit. I don't know, I like the ones that everyone can get behind. Like I mentioned earlier, Mario. Everyone knows Mario, it's classic. And they always want to see him prevail and beat the bad guy. So definitely Mario, but of course, you also have to have good villains too for your good guys. I will say Star-Lord is a good, entertaining character. The crowd loves that character. You know, even when Avengers came out and there was that thing where everyone hated Star-Lord, like, they still gave him love here at the convention.
And lastly, Riot Lucha Libre. What can you tell us about that, Savannah?
So, my friend Fredo has a hand in Riot Lucha Libre. So we make the shirts at High Spots, you know, where I work at the warehouse. So we made a bunch for him, and I was like, hey, I have to have one too and represent for my friends. So, yeah, check them out if you get a chance.
Social media for fans?
Yeah, so Savannah Evans NV is my Twitter, and then my Instagram and Facebook is Savannah Evs. So check that out. I also have a big cartel store if you want to pick up some 8x10s or some t-shirts, and I got some new stuff being put up probably next week, some trading cards and some gear if you're a collector of memorabilia.
Savannah Evans, you're going to want to check her out, Impact Wrestling. And if you see her other places, you're going to see her too. She's doing her thing. Thank you so much, Savannah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.